Bruce Cassidy calls Saturday's loss to the Kings the most disappointing defeat of the season. The Golden Knights are in first place, but they're struggling against the division. And how much shuffling is too much with lines?
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Tony Cardasco, along with Chris Golick. You could find us on Twitter at LockedOnVGK, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G. And of course, as always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. Chris, off of a very busy weekend, VGK blown out at home on Saturday night. And we saw Kevin Fiala scoring a hat trick. It was a 5-1 LA Kings blowout win. Bruce Cassidy, he was really upset. He said that he sensed that the team lacked competitiveness from the top to the bottom. He said when the Golden Knights trailed 1-0, they lacked the compete to get back into the game. A couple of turnovers in the game, Eichel and Martinez, namely. And in this game, we saw them losing battles in the neutral zone, and Logan Thompson gave up a couple of really soft goals, really not much to take positively out of this game.
No, I mean, that's one thing I was thinking about was like who stood out, who did something well, what was good. And what I will say is the start was fine. I think there was 3 posts or high danger chances before the Kings did get their goal. So, I mean, let's at least acknowledge that side of the game, but all downhill from there and just quickly. And there's games you feel like I want to say the Nashville game, where we were leading that game. We were down. Oh, it was Nashville. We were down 2-0 Nashville, and they came back. So like the Nashville game, we were down early in that game, but it didn't feel like it was out of control or anything like that. But this game, even after the first goal that the VGK gave up, it was like, okay. It was just a very weird and different feeling. And then the second goal, you're like, okay. And that second goal, I mean, listen, it's easy for us to criticize from your living room in my office here, but at the end of the day, you can't give a duck like that to a player. LT was trying to kind of deflect and pass at the same time, which is fine. Try and make a play. I'm okay with that. But if you're going to do it, you got to execute it. And unfortunately, that was worse than the last goal, in my opinion. But either way, just unfortunate all around. After Thursday, such a party at T-Mobile, more reinforcements come back. And, to summarize, I put up a tweet yesterday with some random thoughts and things like that. But for a team that's leading the West, for a team that's leading the Pacific, for a roster of this nature, there's too many questions right now. There are too many questions about line combinations. We'll get into that later. Goalies are, an issue right now to a degree. There's concerns. Inability to maybe do different structural things when the game goes. Cassidy is getting a bit of an itchy trigger finger right now. So, like last year, injuries, concerns, schemes, identity, fine. We can talk about all of that. But this year, there's similar questions, which is concerning for a team of this much success right now, on paper at least.
Okay, yesterday at FanFest. Now, I've never seen you and Chance the Raptor in the same place at the same time. So I've got questions, man. Was that you ziplining, downtown at the FanFest yesterday?
I did one zip line in my life. It was out of Africa Wildlife Park in Arizona, which is an awesome place. Don't call that place a zoo. We're going to go off the rails early in the show, which is fine. But if you got kids or even adults, just look up Out of Africa Wildlife Park in Arizona. You actually can zip line over the exhibits like a giraffe and wild animals and stuff like that, which that doesn't sound like a good idea. So I did it. And I came in hot, and there was this little, 120-pound girl with her arms out as me, who, I weigh a couple pounds more than that. Here's me coming in, and her with her arms out, like, okay, I'll catch you. And I'm like, this is not going to be good. And there's a video of this, actually. I got to dig it up. There is a video of this. It's awesome.
Okay, so Logan Thompson was pulled from the game on Saturday in favor of Aiden Hill. We do have a lot of question marks. I still have a ton about the goaltending on nights where that defense does not play well in front of the goalie. We also saw Marchessault and Martinez returning. Hey, I wanted to talk about, one of my friends actually transcribed this for me because I was watching the UNLV game and the hockey game, but I wasn't tuned in listening to everything. And he actually went back and thanks so much for doing that for me. They did a bench interview with Cassidy in the second period.
Oh, dear Lord.
What's that?
I said, oh, dear Lord, this is not going to be good.
No. It was heat of the battle, right? So on the TV broadcast, and he said, our top guys have to be willing to attack here. We're playing on the outside the whole game, aka Pete DeBoer-ish. No one wants to get inside, shoot the puck. At some point, you have to get there, right? That's how you get goals. So he's basically calling out all the veterans. They only
he
have
probably said it loud too, so people right in front of him can hear it. He probably said, "Okay, we're gonna do this in front of Marchessault and let it rip."
Exactly, and only 20 shots on goal for the VGK in the game, but he was heated and he seemed a little bit more tempered, let's say, in the post-game presser because I didn't know what to expect after that.
Cassidy, he tries to keep things pretty fair. I was going to look something up really fast. What do they want to see? Oh, I want to look at the standings. Well, the Kings are a weird statistical anomaly by themselves right now. Second in the division, but they're a -4. You got Quentin Byfield. I'm borrowing some of this from the post game last night, or the other night from Duva and Ryan Wallace, of course. But you got Quentin Byfield, doesn't have any goals on the top line. You have just a journeyman goalie who is now 10-2.
Wait. Are you setting us up for another excuse?
No. God, no. I'm simply saying that the Kings are just a weird team that's doing well right now. And Felix Copley now 10-2.
I'm not saying you specifically, but is this the new narrative of bad ice, of too many injuries? They're playing over their heads?
No, I think that the Golden Knights should have taken care of the Kings, who, if you look at them on the standings, are playing beyond their means right now, I think. And that was the ultimate perspective that I was kind of going to go at here. The Kings are good. They're fine. They're playing well. They got a good, record and everything, but it's not exactly. It's not, this shouldn't have been this type of a game. If we lose 4-3 in overtime, fine, so be it, whatever. That's going to happen right now. And back to Cassidy, yeah, I mean, he's, he doesn't hold anything back. Let's start by saying that and commending him for it. We've gone through DeBoer, and DeBoer. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to do what I do now as far as these interviews and things go. But DeBoer, we didn't get there. It wasn't our night, blah, blah, blah. And you don't get a whole lot. And he smiles and makes nice with the media, and off he goes into the office, to the country club, right? To the country club. And we move on for the next game. It's not that world with Cassidy right now. And, maybe some of this is because he doesn't know the team well. He's only been with the team now for, although the way the shelf life of coaches, he's probably already been with the team for 30% of his entire shelf life is going to be. Right. And that's not even a knock on Cassie. It's just how the NHL goes. So, it's interesting how things are starting to play out right now. And again, there are more questions than answers. And I want to go through this little tweet that I put out. I won't jump segments here, but, okay, so here we go. Adjusting the system. The Kings were playing very well at the blue line. I put a tweet out I think it was pretty early in the game. Every time the VGK was in a breakouts, the Kings defensemen were back and their forwards were not necessarily attacking us. So they were allowing the defense to skate the puck. The second they got right between that red and blue line, VGK got challenged. There is, and again, I'm not going to say a simple way because I'm not an NHL, although I did make my coaching debut yesterday at the 8 and Under Development League over at Lifeguard Arena. So I do have some knowledge here. Now I do have some real-time experience, of course. So now I am now an expert. I'm now an expert in another field, but simply chip and chase, dump and chase, get out there, get that puck to the corner and get dirty and battle for it. And listen, if you can make moves at the blue line, like the Pittsburgh game, for example, you do it, right? You make those moves and you create a rush from the blue line. But if that can't happen, get the puck deep, go down and battle. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's whatever terminology you want to use, but they have to be willing to, play the game like that. And I think this is partially, kind of jumping segments a little bit here. Cassidy mentioned Amadio was very light on pucks. not battling and things like that. So what do you say? Win your races, win your battles. I want to say was the quote, something like
to that
that.
effect.
And
Yeah.
he's right on that, but he's the coach. He has to motivate and teach that. And how much that is happening, I don't know right now.
Okay, so I was looking at the stats, and Jack Eichel and Riley Smith each -4 on the ice in that game.
Wow.
And that's a telling stat, I thought. And then I wanted to talk to you again. We talked about this. We discussed it a little bit last week. I think it's now 2 or 3 games in a row. They are losing faceoffs. This team's losing a lot of faceoffs lately. And that to me is a great concern because they're losing them in the opponent's end.
It's faceoffs are such a weird stat because if you're like if you're like a 52% centerman taking faceoffs, that's good. Like that's how close how much you split hairs for faceoffs, right? And pardon me, but it's gotta yeah, I mean it all starts with the faceoff, and going back to the Gallant days. Gallant didn't give a poop emoji about faceoffs. They barely ever practiced them. And Stevenson, at least for a time, was leading NHL faceoff percentage. I don't know if he's still there or not. I'll look that up maybe when you start going. But faceoffs are important. It's a little thing, but in a game that is where there's so much parity, 32 can beat 1 any day. The worst ranked team can take out the top ranked team and make them look bad in the process. That's how close the parity is and how good the best hockey league in the world is. So anytime you can give yourself an advantage, that extra second with the puck is the difference of a win or a loss, especially now that we are over the halfway points. Now your eyes go to the playoffs. That's the progression. That's how this works.
VGK now at -8 in the second period as Roy and Fiala scored goals there. Jonathan Marchessault returned his 15th goal of the season from Waugh and from Kessel. And there was an empty net for the final 4:20. And
I was too busy getting my hot dog then. I didn't see that part.
Okay, so they didn't mention it on TV though for a while. They go, "Oh, okay, now the net is empty," but it's been empty for a while, so they didn't notice that. Okay, so I'm reading a story about street meat vendors in Vegas. And a lot of them don't.
My
have
wife
their
sent me
health
that
cards
same thing and told me not to buy those hot dogs anymore.
Okay,
you guys, stop it.
So you bought street meat. You bought a Kessel dog outside of T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Okay, man. They do smell pretty good though, and I don't even eat hot dogs.
They do. I paid for it the next morning, but it's all good. It's worth it.
Coming up next, we're going to take a look and try to figure out why the Pacific Division foes against VGK are having their way, so to speak, as the Golden Knights are playing subpar hockey against the division. We'll talk about that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Our next partner has a product that we literally use every day. We started to use Athletic Greens here on this show because basically we don't have time to eat a full meal. And when we do, it is stinking street meat. That's what happens. So I personally have been taking it for a few months now, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It has kind of a mild tropical taste. I actually look forward to taking each and every day. They have 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, all of that. It is a special blend of ingredients, and I really do enjoy it. And it is very lifestyle friendly, no matter what routine you are on. And it costs less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health. It's a lot cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting the different supplements yourself. You are investing in your all-in-one nutritional insurance. There's a lot of great reviews out there. Just Google it. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and five free travel packs with your very first purchase. All you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. It's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We thank you so much for making us your first listen each and every day. And again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Golden Knights. And tomorrow, Chris, my return appearance on TMZ. Okay. And I just have to make sure. So I've actually been fasting for the last 2 days because last time I told you what happened, my head took up the entire screen. And I don't know if they were magnifying it or whatever, but that's what's happening here. And you're eating your street meat, and somehow we make this show work. So we welcome back everyone. Golden Knights leading the Pacific. What are we trying to get at here? They are leading the Pacific. Overall, however, they are just 5-6-2 against the division. And
I got some stats coming here in a second. This is interesting, but keep going.
So while Bruce Cassidy was in Boston, he absolutely owned the Pacific, and he never lost to the Kings in 9 meetings prior to coming to Las Vegas. And now this is becoming sort of a routine. So is it a lack of, I hate to say this too, because I was texting with one of my friends, and then he said they were talking about it on the broadcast too, about how they seem to struggle against the Pacific right now at 5-6-2. Yes, of course, they should be dominating because they're leading the Pacific Division. But what is going on? Why can't VGK beat these teams?
So here's Bruce Cassidy's Boston Bruins record against the Pacific for the last few seasons. 9-5-2, 9-3-1, 12-2. So, let's maybe try and figure out why he was so strong against the Pacific with Boston versus with the VGK. And I think the first thing you probably consider is the home road split as far as, the travel and the time zones and stuff. But you can't have those records if your team is not winning on the road when you come to the West Coast. So that's the first thing that, kind of stands out. To be fair, outside of, the VGK, the Pacific, and Edmonton on and off, the Pacific has been a bit, Charmin soft, giving my buddy Chris Kondo some love saying that. So it's hard to understand why he was so strong against the Pacific with the Bruins, who had some very good teams in those last 3 seasons I just referenced. But this VGK team isn't so bad either. So it's a very strange circumstance because now he has more scouting, right? There are people on his payroll, if you will, or on however you want to say that, who have spent the last 5, 6, 7 years now specifically focusing on the Pacific and funneling information to Cassidy. And then it's up to Cassidy to create a scheme, a strategy, line combinations, etc., that will put the team in a good spot. And as of now, that is a measurable where Cassidy is falling short. We'll put it politely until we can't. If things get bad, then we'll start saying it in a different manner. So no good answer as to why he is struggling against the division that he now lives in. His house is here, whatever terminology you want to use. My concern is, why was it so good with Boston and so mediocre here right now? And the Pacific didn't get any stronger. Let's not kid ourselves. It definitely did not get any stronger. We thought it would, but it didn't.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing, that I see with this team is that they went back, they revert back to the Pete DeBoer style of play with those shots from the outside, which drives both of us crazy, right? And they're not putting anyone in front.
There's no bodies. There's no bodies. I hate it.
Yeah. So why did they all of a sudden revert back? And then I could see Cassidy's frustration because he's like, the past couple of days we worked on the neutral zone and how to attack and how to play defensively and all of that. And then he goes, and we come out and no one did one thing that we had practiced. So that didn't seem to resonate with the players, with the team. Another note too.
He's also bus rolling them too when he says that, but keep going.
So John Stevens, the assistant coach, has played a ton in the Pacific Division, right? Former Kings coach. He should be able to adequately prepare the VGK for these types of games.
Something's definitely not clicking there. And like I said, I wish I could, I'm sure Cassidy wishes he could put his finger on it, because you got to take care of the division, right? I mean, you have to win the division, and to win your division, you're going to have to do well against your division, or otherwise they might catch up. I mean, again, this division is pretty soft right now, so we can hang our hat on that as a positive in the sense that we should win the division, even if we play 500 hockey from here to the end of the season. I hope we don't do that, obviously, but that's really what we've also been doing since our great run to start the season. So we're milking that for everything that it's worth right now, and they got to figure something out. I'm just trying to think if I can come up with any point as to why this is happening. And it's tough. It's tough. There's so much experience there. You made the comment about the coach playing in the Pacific and everything, and coaching in the Pacific for a number of seasons. And it's a bit disheartening. And why can't they figure this out? That's a Cassidy question, and it's his job to figure this out. And again, so many more questions than we should have. And this isn't because they lost one game. I mean, we were happy after the Pittsburgh game. Sure, there's going to be a level of recency bias. We're gonna, whatever the last time was on the ice, that's going to portray in our mannerism how we talk about the team. But it is a fair thing to point out that, hey, they're struggling right now, and they don't look like a team that's leading the West. They don't look like a team that's leading the division. They don't look like the team that should represent the Western Conference in the Stanley Cup final right now.
Okay, so we are right on pace with 4-2-1 for this homestand, I think. So they're 1-1 in the first two.
These 4 days off make me nervous for the Thursday game.
Oh my
honestly.
goodness. Okay, so yeah.
Schedule's terrible. It's rigged.
Well, no, I can't believe they're going to have 4 days off at this point of the season. They have so much time.
They do it next. Don't they do it next week too, right?
Fest.
Same thing next week. Don't they have
a
long?
It's brutal.
It's Thursday. It's Thursday, Saturday, 2 weeks in a row, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah, but again, what are they going to do to occupy their time?
Oh, they play Monday the 16th. Okay, pardon me.
Yeah, that's the big game, the matinee game, right, against the Stars.
That's when I call Brossoit going to make a start. I called that last week.
Okay. I don't want to take too much away from the Kings, who executed well.
Of course,
and I thought
it was a good game.
I thought they also won the retro game as well, but that's another game.
Those jerseys that was an amazing jersey matchup. It really beautiful? Was. It was. I mean, just being we were behind the Kings net because Chris wanted to get a good look at those jerseys, and I did post a picture. So here's a little tip: if you're behind one of the goals during warmups, you see a puck go off that post and hit that netting above you, push that glass forward because it's a looser glass, and then the puck will drop right there. Except puck.
Wait! Didn't Chris get a puck the other night?
That's what we're talking about. This is the story. This is how we got it.
This is the story. I don't know how we're going to get there to the story. Okay.
So you push the glass forward, and then the puck drops down. The puck had some English on it, though. It had some backspin. When it hit the ground, it went backwards. So I had to turn around. I didn't get down on my knees. I'm not that crazy person, but I got my hand down there right in front of a Kings fan, put the puck right in Chris's hand, and bam, that was a winner.
Who shot it? Do you know?
I think no. Oh, you know what? I did see actually. It was the weirdest thing. Kolesar was lined up to shoot a warm-up shot on Hill, and he just completely whiffed and hit the other crossbar.
Oh no, I don't want to take much away from the Kings, though. Seriously, because they did play a good game.
They did the job
well. But
they took what the VGK gave them.
Absolutely,
and the VGK didn't take what the Kings gave them.
But are they a threat to the VGK? Do you feel?
At the start of the season, we did. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They're figuring things out. They started slow. And Fiala with the hat trick. We all talk. How much do you talk about that trade and how important it was? I still say Anze Kopitar is, if not my favorite, one of my top 3 favorite players to watch in the NHL right now. Not because he's a razzle-dazzle type player, not because he does all these amazing things. He just plays the game right. He leads right. He does everything that needs to be done. And it was, very nice to watch him up close. And, he's a guy, just nothing bad to say about him. First ballot, surefire Hall of Famer, obviously, with multi Stanley Cup victories and everything. And it's great leadership right there. That is outstanding leadership right there. And we got a pretty good captain in Mark Stone as well, not take anything away. But, I enjoy watching the Kings. I enjoy everything they do. And, they're going to be a thorn in our side. And, what's the goaltending situation going to be? Is it going to be a journeyman Phoenix Copley going to take him to the promised land, or is Quick going to turn it back on? In about late February, just like he did last season. I mean, they rode Quick to the playoffs last year.
Yeah. This Pacific Division is pretty interesting. And the Kings have played more games, I think, than any team in the National Hockey League so far. They've got another game coming up tonight. Yeah, Edmonton coming up. So that's going to be
we get Edmonton on Saturday. I'm excited for that one. I'm excited.
Should be a really good Pacific Division battle. And then Seattle, I think, is also starting to play pretty well. I feel I watched them play the other night, and Matty Bernier's again with a big goal in that contest.
Yeah, Beniers, he's going to be around for a long time. He's he wasn't as touted as some of the recent rookies are and stuff, but he's definitely rising to the occasion. I've when I'm opening packs of Upper Deck Series 1, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for Matty Beniers Young Guns and Young Guns Canvas and Young Guns Canvas Black and exclusives and high gloss. And when we land one of those, that's a payday for somebody. Oh, that's a payday. Hey, really quick story. This is a shout out to a buddy of mine. He goes by BG Sports Cards on Instagram and whatnot. So hear me out really fast. As people who like to open boxes of sports cards, if we go to a Walmart or a Target, even our local card shop, sometimes we'll open packs of cards in our car. It'll just sit there in the car and start ripping cards. And the more experienced people that do this actually will have top loaders in their glove box and of their trucks and stuff like that. Shout out to my buddy Jesse Ailstock on that. But so he sends me, he's like, hey, you, wake hits me like at 6:30 in the morning. I want to say on Sunday or Saturday morning. He sends me a picture. He pulled a Julio Rodriguez 1-of-1 card. He's got offers of north of $50,000 for this card, and he opened it in his car, just sitting and chilling.
No way.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I
So
love stories.
Is he
like
going to
that.
sell that? Is he going to sell that?
He's working on a few different angles to sell it right now, and he's trying to find the best way to do it and the best bang for his bucks. And he said he's going to come visit me in Vegas when he does. So drinks on him.
Okay.
Gold bar whiskey on BG Sports Cards.
That's right. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at the line shuffling again. Not much of a blender mix the other night, but Bruce Cassidy did make some changes. We'll discuss that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting information, for stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league that is out there. We've got from pro football heading into the playoffs. The college football championship game happens tonight. TCU against Georgia. We've got basketball, the NHL. We have it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. And we are always the fastest, the easiest way to get your betting information. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn a lot more. It's BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick in Las Vegas. And I went to the Raider game, right? I covered the Raider game on Saturday. And what would you have done? I'm an old school guy.
I'm glad I got a story for you, but keep going.
Okay, what would you have done back in the day? Probably not today. I don't think we could get away with just smashing people today. If you would have seen like the Chiefs come out and they do this ring around the rosy thing before they went to the line of scrimmage, did you see that? We would have been told by our coaches to just jump the line and hit the quarterback, hit Mahomes, because there's no way. Have you seen? There been any crazy things that have happened in hockey where there's a lot of showboating? I'm trying to think of like one instance where we might have seen something, but I can't remember. But I think it's something. If you're out there and you could remember any crazy shenanigans that went on the ice with crazy formations or plays or what have you, let us know.
Yeah, that's interesting. That'd be a good topic. Nothing coming off the top of my head, but so you did mention the game. I was listening to the radio call, the national radio call, as I was driving to something, oil change, whatever it was, doesn't matter. And they were talking about those donuts. The radio call, the donuts you always show the picture of that have the team logos on them and stuff like that. The people on the radio were actually talking about eating too many of them and stuff like that and how good they are. And you always put that on your Twitter. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
I thought about you.
I started
made me think about Tony Cardasco.
I started a trend there. Well, it started with cookies actually, and they didn't have cookies that were logoed with each team's logo, each team's brand. So I took the donuts instead. And someone asked me, one of the other media members said, "Hey, I haven't seen a post yet of the cookies yet. Are you going to post one?" Like, it's become a thing. It's so stupid.
It's like my popcorn and peanuts and salty nuts
and street meat
and street meat. Oh God, I hope that's out there every game.
Do they call them Kessel dogs? Are they calling them that? That'd be another reason.
There wasn't a whole lot of conversation that took place.
So VGK line shuffling.
It was $8. I can tell you that much.
Line shuffling continues. We wanted to talk about that. Paul Cotter and Michael Amadio was the big switch. Cotter, I went back and looked at the numbers, Chris. He had 7 hits. And so the reason why they put Cotter, Cassidy did, on the top line and replaced him with Amadio was because he felt that Amadio was playing too light. So again, I think that's a good move, tactical move, but when are these moves too much? When are they going to be too much? Because you want to get that consistency and build that chemistry. And especially now you have players that have been injured, coming back and forth and all that. You could always blame it on the lack of chemistry because a player was out and what have you. But when does this become too much? By now, shouldn't you have these lines down pat?
Yeah, he did. Amadio, Stevenson, and Stone. I mean, the concern that I have there is I feel this was a predetermined move, number one. I feel it was in Cassidy's mind some way, somehow to get back to Paul Cotter going up there, but he didn't want to just, take Amadio's spot away because he has earned it. And Chris Chapman did ask about the line change. It was the last question that they allowed at the presser. And I would have phrased the question a little bit differently. I would have phrased it as, what did you see? Amadio's done very well in a large sample size in the role of Stevenson and Stone. What did you see in this small sample size in a handful of shifts that made you go for the change? I would have been curious to see if you would have got the same answer or a little bit of a different answer. But the quote from Coach was, Amadio was light on pucks. Listen, these guys, you can't be 100% of the time perfect. No one can, whether it's hockey, life, and your job and anything in between. It's just not how it works. And Amadio has been outstanding. He has been a gem. And one of the reasons this team has held it together and still leads, now that we're into almost mid-January, as crazy as that sounds. So you making that move, I don't like the message that it sends down to the team. I get the message he's trying to send. Hey, you better be out there every shift or, you're going to lose your spot. But that's not, this is a veteran team. This is not a bunch of rookies. This is not, this is a veteran team with a couple young players on it. Let's call it what it is. Maybe that's why they keep getting injured all the time. So that just felt like too aggressive of a message, and I didn't like it. Now, on the flip side, Cotter did come out. He got the message. He delivered 7 hits, and Paul Cotter might be one of the best reverse hitters in the NHL. And what that means is when someone is about to hit you, you get low and you explode and you just crush them. He does that better than a lot of players in the NHL. So let's not take anything away from Cotter and what he brings to that top line. But what did Amadio do to get, demoted isn't the word, but to get shuffled in 4 or 5 shifts? I did not like that move whatsoever.
And Cotter came off the ice. I was texting you that he went into the clubhouse there and came back out. I don't know what happened, if he was injured or what have you, but I didn't see any new injuries for the VGK. Okay, so I want to talk about Logan Thompson and getting pulled. Now we've seen each goaltender get pulled in games. Logan Thompson has a banner week. He's named to the NHL All-Star team, and then he comes back, his first start back, and he more or less lays an egg. Does this bring him back down to earth? Because I'm sure he's pretty high on being an NHL All-Star. I don't know if that cost him any lack of concentration or what have you in the game. But, again, he wasn't sharp. 2 soft goals, I think he gave up in the contest. But does this bring him back down to earth now?
I don't think he was ever off of earth. I think he's done everything asked of him to show that he is an NHL starting caliber goalie who can deal with the highs and lows. I'm more concerned about, and again, he should have been pulled. Let's be clear about this. But
you said it on your Twitter feed. You said he should be yanked for the third period.
Yeah, no, I got that one. I'll take it. But I think Cassidy is the one who might get in his head a little bit right now. And we've talked about this. Cassidy does have the skeletons in the closet with younger players and managing them. Amadio played awesome for however many games it's been. 4 or 5 shifts, he's light on pucks. I mean, why can't you just tell him, hey, get your blankety blank and gear, let's go? Like, why do you got to make that brash of a move right now? And then that stuff, it goes down the lineup. LT sees what's happening out there. He knows what's going on. Maybe that gets in his head a little bit. I get this is the NHL. This isn't, we're not looking for participation awards and stuff like that. Every kid doesn't have to play an equal amount of shifts. I get that too. But I think Cassidy's got to pump the brakes a little bit with some of the things he's doing. And back to your original statement about LT, he's always been on earth. He had a bad game. Both goalies have been pulled once in 43 games now, or whatever the math is, 42 games. Not that big of a deal, but let's keep an eye on it.
I want to ask you if you heard anything about Brendan Lemieux after he went. It looked like a cartoon, like flying airborne head first into the boards.
Yes, that looked
23 games already.
That was a concern.
Oh man, he jammed his neck at the very least. If he's not in the neck brace today, I'd be surprised.
Where we said we couldn't see the direct contact, but I knew, like he tried to hit Kolesar pretty good, and it was a fair play that he made. But when you see players go down like 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet from the boards with a full head of steam, it's scary. I hate to see it with the kids, hate to see it with the NHL, hate to see it with the beer, whatever it is. And I didn't like it. McNabb, oh man, he had a hit though. Oh, McNabb had a huge hit in that game. I got the replay of it in a pretty close up off of the Nitron. McNabb's still doing McNabb things out there in a good way. One point I did want to make really fast is we're getting this home. This kind of got lost. Why was Ben Hutton scratched over Korzak and Pahal?
Interesting. I saw that you had made that tweet, and I
like Pahal's game right now. Korzak's game, he's the only answer I can come up with.
He's green, right? He's pretty green, Korzak. I mean, let's face it.
Here's the only answer, and this is me and my neighbor Ken talking some hockey over. He was chugging a Foster's, I was chugging my Jim Beam Orange. We were gabbing yesterday, but and my Gold Bar too. The Gold Bar, obviously, but yeah, we had to make a little line change yesterday. But going back to our conversation,
a line change.
Yeah, going back to our conversation, the only thing I can come up with is we're dangling Korzak and Hutton to the NHL right now. I'm sorry, Korzak and Pahal to the NHL right now, maybe to make some type of a deal, and you do it with your younger talent to get some upper level line 3, lower level line 2 type players. That's kind of how that happens. And White Cloud is still out. I don't know when we're going to see him. Theodore is still out. So, I mean, that's a lot of money right there in the salary, depending on how much longer those two are going to be out. White Cloud longer than Theodore. I think that's a fair assessment right now. And I think you got to dangle some of these players out there to, especially when the scouts are in the seats, which you're starting to see more of and more of as the season progresses. So that's the only thing I can come up with right there as to why Hutton sat in favor of Korzak and Pahal. Korzak needs to work on his breakouts. It's not been very good.
Mm-hmm. What is the schedule going to be for the VGK for the remainder of the week? First, they complained they don't have enough practice time. Now they're afforded all sorts of practice time. But again, you still have to be aware of any sort of burnout.
And Duva was talking about this. He felt that, like, he made the comment, they're going to practice and they got to go to FanFest and they're going to practice. Like, he's making the comments like they're practicing too much right now.
So they practiced on Sunday, right? Right.
Before practiced. They jumped in the vans and came down.
Came down to
Fremont.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What's their practice?
I think they're practicing. I don't think there's any days off. I could be wrong.
They need a day off in between.
No, practice, grind it. They got to grind right now, Tony.
They got to grind. Still, really?
Got to grind.
You
saw the game on Saturday.
I know, but I think you could get it done. Just again, they could become more productive if they're just well rested.
I mean, whatever they do in the off days, I don't know. I mean, listen, when things aren't ticking, get them out there on the ice and figure it out. Maybe it's the old school in me and the non-participation trophy side of me.
The old school in me wanted to punch Patrick Mahomes in the face, even though he's my favorite quarterback. Okay, ring around the rosy.
That was awesome.
I think the only other thing,
creativity.
Well, maybe
it was such a Raiders thing too. I mean, they're terrible. It was such a Raiders situation that it happened there.
Maybe it's the storm salute or whatever the Hurricanes do, after a game.
It was their storm surge.
The storm surge. Maybe that could get under some player skin. If they're doing
it would have been nice. I don't know. I
do some creative stuff with the storm surge.
Someone should have gotten leveled in response to that.
2 goals from Max Pacioretty the other night. 3. On the way out. 2.
Oh, you got 3 and then 2 the next day.
Max Pacioretty had
a hat trick.
He had a hat trick, Pacioretty. Okay, and he had 2 goals the other day. Anyway, in any event, we'll sort it out. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you watching us, listening to us. For my man, Chris Golick, Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Take